to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we're going back to Utah to dive into the Kouri Richins case. We've done a lot of videos as things continue to come out, and it's been a little while because not a lot has happened, but today something's come out where the Utah cops, they say that Kouri Richins' mom, she may have some type of involvement in planning Eric Richins' death, in planning the poisoning. Okay? So we're going to dive into what we know because this is definitely a crazy turn of events. All right? But that is what the Utah cops are saying. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Utah cops, they are now saying that the mother of the accused killer, Kouri Richins, may have some type of involvement in her son-in-law's alleged murder. And so we're going to be diving into what we know at this time because this is definitely a crazy turn of events. And so we're going to go down the rabbit hole and see what is it that we know about this crazy case. Now, we've been covering this for quite some time, and to come out and hear this, because there's a lot to this story that I'm going to share with you, but she recently did an interview not too long ago. At least it was released by 48 hours. So 48 hours, they did a documentary on this case. Now, most of the people talking in this documentary was her, Kouri Richins' side of the family. So of course they're basically saying what the defense attorney is saying. What else are they going to say? What else are they going to possibly believe? Because you don't want to believe that your child is capable of this until we find out that something similar was actually around the mom. And so now we find out that Kouri Richins, who is from something like that, in Utah, she's accused of poisoning her husband by serving him a fentanyl-laced Moscow Mule, which is a drink. And they allege that she did this on March 3rd of 2022. And now they are saying that the mom may have something to do with this. And so they're saying that their new theory, the investigators saying they have a new theory that Richins may have gotten the idea from her mother, Lisa Darden. Now, in May of 2023, a Summit County Sheriff's Office detective, they submitted a search warrant affidavit based on something that they believe Lisa Darden may have something to do with this, may have some type of involvement in planning and orchestrating Eric's death. And so they have some suspicion that she might have something to do with inspiring this to occur. We don't know. This is all alleged right now, but it is a bombshell. But again, it is also just a theory. But if they are investigating her, I think that this is definitely an important thing to know. All right. And they're saying they feel there might be some type of relation to this because based on some suspicion that they have of, maybe involved in planning or even or orchestrating Eric's death. But they're going off of a death in 2006, what they would consider a mysterious death, that maybe she has some type of previous involvement with this death in 2006. And so while they were investigating Kouri Richins' associate, it was discovered that in 2006, her mother, Lisa Darden, pictured here, was living with an adult female with whom she was having a romantic relationship. That is what the detective wrote in the affidavit. And he said, the detective says, in April of that year, her romantic partner died unexpectedly. That is what is being said in this. And so that's what the detective is believing. And so now investigators, they say that they've uncovered evidence suggesting that Richins' mother, Lisa Darden, may have played a role in Eric Richins' demise. Now, here is what we know about that. Okay, she has a partner, or should I say she had a partner, Gertrude Lee Moore. Now, Gertrude, she died at the young age of 49 years old, and what many say she suddenly died. And this happened on April 30th of 2006. Now, in Gertrude's obituary, Darden was described as her best friend. And an autopsy revealed that Moore's immediate cause of death was a drug poisoning from an overdose of oxycodone, something like that. But that is what Fox News has reported. And so they dug deep into all the associates, just as the investigation is entailing, right? And so further investigation showed that Lisa Darden had been named as the beneficiary of her partner's estate a short time before her death. That's what the detective has shared. And so the detective says that the female did have current prescriptions for oxycodone and reportedly struggled with abusing her meds. She, however, was not in a state of recovery from addiction at the time of her death. Now, the detective shares that, based on that detective's training and experience, they felt like this would likely rule out the possibility of an accidental overdose. Now, I want to just share that it does not mean that the detective is right, okay? This is very early on. Her mom could have nothing to do with this, but what was kind of chilling to me after reading this story and then after watching the 48 hours, or should I say diving into this story and then watching the 48 hours, the way the mom just was like, everyone's wrong. Literally, she says what she's supposed to say. All right. Personally, I don't know how I feel that Lisa has anything to do with that. Right now, I'm not going to pass that judgment in that. Coincidence? Yeah, there's some crazy coincidence in this, right? But we do find out that that female did have current prescriptions for oxycodone, and she did reportedly struggle with abusing her meds, so it could very well have been an accidental overdose if this has been proven that she struggled with not taking more than she's supposed to. And that's where it's like, but the detective believes that I don't believe that it was an accidental overdose. That's according to the detective. The detective suggested that, based on Darden's proximity to Moore's suspicious overdose death and her close relationship with Richins, that maybe she has some type of involvement in planning and orchestrating Eric's overdose death. Now, I definitely can see the similarities, all right? And the way it's coming out, I definitely see the similarities because according to the mom in the 48 hours episode, she says that he would come to her asking for a hookup. Well, that's what the mom said. The way she was trying to describe Eric wasn't like a loving son-in-law. She did say they had a good relationship, but she described him as having his own drug problem, which also sounds exactly similar to her, and what she could have been saying about Moore and her drug. You can definitely see the similarities between these two cases, which is why I'm sharing that. But Now, according to the detective, Summit County was well aware of, of the what was going on in Summit County through the opioid addiction and the fentanyl overdose being a rampant problem throughout the country, including right there in Summit County. And so, according to the CDC, 150 people die every day from an overdose related to two synthetic opioids like fentanyl. And so that is what Sky Lazaro, the attorney for Kouri Richins, she brushes everything off. She's doing a good job. Let me tell you, she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. And so let's see this one right here. This is the attorney in the picture along with Kouri. All right. This is Sky Lazaro, the attorney representing Kouri Richins. All right. Now, of course, she's denying anything that the detective is saying and said that Darden's partner was just a victim of that national opioid crisis, which makes sense. Which makes sense, right? Because truth is, it's still a problem. It's still a problem. But in this particular case, here we have this problem in Kouri Richins' murder case, right? You see, the night that Eric died, the mother and daughter, they were both celebrating Richins' recent closure on a $2 million mansion. And this mansion was something that, they were really Kouri was extremely excited about this mansion that they got a hold of, that she was going to purchase. They closed on this $2 million mansion. I'm not too sure if it was two. I think that even in 48 hours, they were sharing that might have been a $3 million mansion. And so the mother and Lisa and the daughter, Kouri, they were celebrating her recent closure. Now, if you recall, if you've been following the story or following my channel, she's a real estate flipper. So she started flipping. And so according to the mom, she always had, I think it was the mom that shared this, she always had like 3 flips going. So she was always flipping a home. This was something that they were using to help finance their lifestyle. And there's all the talk of her being in so much debt. Well, if you're a flipper, you borrow money, right? I flipped a couple homes. We're trying to flip homes as well. So we're getting into the real estate investing business. And yes, you are going to be in a lot of debt when you borrow a lot of money to buy a home in a short period of time. So yes, if you have 3, you can definitely be way in $1 million of debt. Now, that's way above my head. My little things have been 6 figures, 100,000 or under, right? So I'm not messing with these $1 million homes, but I can tell you that yes, you would be in a lot of debt if you had 3 flip opportunities going at one time. And so they were celebrating this, the sale of this, her closing to buy it. They were going to flip it. This is something that this home had been going back and forth since like 2017. And so Richins, she owned a real estate company and her husband owned a successful masonry business. One day after after he died, affidavits for search warrants show that Kouri signed the closing papers on this piece of property, and then she invited friends for a party where she was drinking and celebrating. Again, this was one day after his death. Now, my opinion, I'm not sold on the mom yet being affiliated with that death that we were just talking about. But in this particular case, Kouri Richins, I do believe something sinister happened here and she being behind it. Again, she's going to get her day in court. It is alleged. So I'm not saying she did it, but a little piece of me feels like she did. I think with everything that has come out and what we have found out, I truly believe there is a real story behind this, and it was not an accidental overdose by Eric Richins. He would do anything for his boys. He cared so much about the boys. It is said that he was wanting to leave her, but didn't want to leave the boys. Okay? So we don't know how true all of that is. There's going to be so much more that comes out, but I find it very chilling. One day after his death, and again, this is according to search warrants, it shows that Kouri signed the closing papers on that piece of property and then invites friends over for a party to drink and celebrate and party. I'm going to guess that multiple people found that odd. I don't think I'm going to be the only one. I would think that people inside that party was like, I'm sorry for your loss. And what is she possibly saying? This is what he would have wanted. I don't know. But what we do find out is a chilling turn of events if the mom has anything to do with this. But Richins and her husband, they had previously been arguing about the plans to purchase this home, which is on a 10-acre home, right? It's a $2 million home. He was not all on board with this. And so that's where it's like they were going back and forth. He was not willing to sign. And so he was highly against it. And prosecutors, they're saying that Eric found out about his wife taking out a $250,000 home equity line of credit and spent through that thing like it was nothing, and then had withdrawn $100,000 from his bank account and then spent more than $30,000 on his credit cards, and that had left him fuming and upset. It's also alleged that she stole about $134,000 from her husband's business meant for some tax payments that he had to pay. And so this is where a lot of the debt is said to have come from that she needed to get herself out of. All right. And this is also said to be where he was so upset about all this money that she was spending and even stole from his business. All right. That's what documents are stating. And the documents, they state that she agreed to repay her husband back when he confronted her about the missing money. Think about that. You're a married couple. You're supposed to be building a life together. Your husband confronts you about you stealing 6 figures worth of money from his business. All right. It's a business transaction, which means now, because you stole that, there's got to be some tax fraud involved, right? Because did she pay on that? What, like, is she gonna be facing another charge for that? But if documents show she agreed to repay him back what she stole, right? Why would you have to agree to anything if you didn't do anything wrong? And so now prosecutors, they're saying that she purchased 4 different life insurance policies, which totaled almost $2 million. And she did all of this between 2015 and 2017. And then before you know it, and even as her mom described it, she wrote this book, right? She writes this book. The mom describes it as, now that she's got this book that she created for the boys as a way to heal and move on, life is getting better. Until she says, my daughter gets arrested out of the blue. No one saw this coming. That's what she said in an interview with 48 Hours. I'm kind of surmising it off of the top of my head, but it was something along those lines. And so now here we have Kouri charged with aggravated murder and drug possession in 2023. And authorities, they claim that she poisoned Eric with fentanyl to collect the millions in life insurance funds that she had set up for him of $1.9 million. Now, what would later upset her when she is completely caught off guard is when, prior to her death, prior to his death in March of 2022, Eric, he does something that you don't generally do. He changes the will on her. He changes his will to make his sister the sole beneficiary of his life insurance policy, and was even thinking of getting a divorce from Kouri. That's according to his side of the family. All right. Well, remember, there's always two sides to every story, and then there's the middle, the ground that we never really ever get to know all the way through. Now, the family attorney and the spokesperson, Greg Skordas, he's the one you're going to see a lot if you watch that 48 hours. The family never speaks. The spokesperson speaks for them the whole time. And so he tells dailymail.com that Eric was afraid Kouri was trying to kill him after 2 separate instances in which he became violently ill after drinking and eating with his wife. Now, if you listen to the family, Kouri's side, they're crazy for thinking any of this could have happened. Even the sandwich, they talk about the sandwich that he ate, and they're like, how bad could it have been if he got up later on and then went to coach the kids? That's how they put it. All right. And so I find this very chilling when you get all of these facts together. And again, I don't know how much is facts. I'm just going off of what we're learning in this case, because I've been trying to stay as close to this case as possible. Now, one thing throughout this whole process that we're going to find out is the mom at all responsible for helping and inspiring her to do this? Well, in another shocking turn of events, now the Utah State, the prosecutors, they want to subpoenaed 48 hours. The show I keep talking about. And they are commanding, pursuant to Rule 45, Utah Rules of Civil Procedure, to present the following to the Summit County's Attorney's Office not more than 14 days after service of the subpoena. So it's still, at the time of this video, less than 14 days. And it says, any and all material involving the People versus Kouri Richins 48-hour episode, which is what I've just been surmising a little bit, that aired on February 24th, 2024, less than 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, to include without limitation any video and audio of complete interviews, interviewee submissions, and correspondence. What do you suppose that 48 hours shared that the detectives did not already know? Could that be one of it? Could it be that they want to know how they got these facts from the mom, who again started blaming Eric? They want, what? Eric asked you for the hookup? Those were the exact words. The hookup words. So there's so much to this, and then it leaves you wondering, what else is there? Well, in that 48 hours interview, even Kouri's brother spoke to it. All right. Her brother Ronnie also told one show she loves her boys way too much to take their father away from them. We've heard that. That's cookie cutter comments, right? And so he even says they were in probably the best spot we've seen them in a long time at the time of his death. And so now the family, as I shared, they were saying that Eric loved to party. With Ronnie even saying Eric loved to party, he loved to have a good time. And Ronnie would even say that in the 48 hours interview that he accompanied him on some, let's go get some stuff. We'll just call it stuff, whatever they were getting. I don't know if it was, marijuana or even deeper stuff. But he would say that we don't know where he was getting it from. He would go on the streets and get it from different strangers all the time. Yes, that could definitely lead to problems. But why are they giving this interview to support how he did this to himself? That they're saying it was an accidental? So I struggle with that. I'm guessing that you probably struggle with that too, because it does not make much sense in this. And so through the whole process, it's like with it, All right, let's see what else we might be thinking as we continue down this rabbit hole. Well, through this, now we're going to continue to find out what next. Is that the defense they're going to use? Eric loved the party. He obviously did this to himself. Now, the defense is going off of she needs to prove where she got this stuff from and when she gave it to him. That's what the prosecutor will have to prove. That's what the defense is saying. They're going to have to prove how she got it. Well, one of their witnesses in this case, along with, okay, they're going to have to say, is there any connection to when they were doing when the first death occurred with the mom? But then you also have the who they say is actually the person that 2 different times brought the fentanyl to Kouri. This is probably going to be the witness for the prosecution, who the defense is saying that's not a reliable witness. All right, they refer to her as CO. So I don't know the name. I don't care to know the name, but this is probably going to be one of the witnesses in the prosecution's case against the defense, because this is the girl that sold and said that, Kouri reached out to her saying, I have an investor who's having a lot of problems and could use some of that, I don't know, Michael Jackson stuff, something like that. But that's where it's like, okay, they're going to do everything they can to say that this was most likely an accidental overdose, because that is exactly what the brother has already said. That's what the mom is saying, right? Lisa Darden, the mom, because she previously said Eric, who came from a prominent Mormon family in Kamaz, would cheat on his wife and left her with a black eye after she confronted his alleged former mistress. Now, who they're saying is the former mistress is completely denying it. Okay, she is completely denying it. What did I do with that? I always mess up these pictures, don't I? She's completely denying that she has anything to do with the wife, or I'm sorry, with having an affair. She says, no, I did not have an affair with her. And I put up the wrong picture, but what we do know is there's more court dates coming up. Now, I'm still trying to figure out what happened there, why I had a picture of her, but where is it? You know how that goes. But I did have a picture of the girlfriend that they're alleging, and I'm not seeing it. Maybe I didn't bring it in. Oh well. But through the whole process, you got to ask yourself, all right, what else could have possibly happened? Because, is it all about the money? Did she want the money? Is it completely about the money? Well, we don't really know, but of course they're going to come up with something. What we do find out in another turn of events, now this one is not extremely recent, all right? But there was this letter that came out described walk the dog, all right? Now, it's alleged to be a jail cell letter that they found in Kouri Richins' belongings. And through that, it's okay, is there some truth to it? You see, the attorney for the family that I shared with you earlier, he's saying that, we find this written letter while she was incarcerated in Summit County Jail, while she's awaiting the trial of the murder of her husband. And so prosecutors stated that the letter shows the wrongdoing and the witness tampering that she is said to have done. That's what the attorney, Greg Skordas, is saying about this letter, Walk the Dog. And what he is saying that it looks like to be an attempt to have someone make up a story for a trial. To him, this was shocking, which of course it would. Along with writing a book about Eric's death and then being accused of poisoning her husband. That alone. But this 6-page handwritten note which is alleged to be her handwriting, by Kouri to her mother, Lisa. And it looks to be instructing her to have Kouri's brother, Ronald Darden, to falsely testify that Eric received drugs and pills from Mexico, causing his death. That's what that letter seems to insinuate. All right. The attorney scored us. He says it's like she's decided that her best defense is this certain course. And she's telling people to say those things that fit into, that defense, even though apparently they're not even true. And so these alleged instructions in the note say things like, tell him I need him to do this, bring me home. And to tell them to say, Eric always wanted Kouri to go down for him. All right. That's what this letter, which is said to have been found in a routine sweep of her cell by the sheriff's office, which was made public by Summit County's attorney's office. They used this as evidence of alleged wrongdoing and possible witness tampering. And so, again, you can't be coaching or doing anything like that from behind the bars and telling people to do these things. All right. Now, when she publishes this book, and then she does an interview, she goes out promoting it on television and radio, describing the book as a way to help children grieve with the loss of a loved one. All right. And in the loss, she does an interview in this, and she's motivated to get people she's motivated to write this book after searching Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and finding nothing to help them cope. And she says in this interview on I forget, Good Morning America or something like that, she says, I went on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles to try to find something to help us cope at night. Nights are the hardest. I just wanted some story to read to my kids at night, and I couldn't find anything that suited them. So I was like, let's just write one. And that's what she shared. And again, this was while she was going out there doing her, who knows what. Now, we don't know other than what we are finding out. But when we get to the courts, you can best believe there's probably going to be a lot more that we find out of this story. But this is definitely a crazy turn of events. If the mom has any influence in this, I don't know. We're gonna see if anything else comes of this. But Gertrude, she, according to her obituary, she passed away all of a sudden in April 30th of 2006. And she was a resident of DeLand and attended DeLand High School. And she was in this relationship and they lived together. We don't know much more outside of that, but little by little we will find out more, because this is going to be going into courts. This is going to be going into deeper areas, right? That's probably a fair statement. But she is accused of this Moscow Mule laced drink. And tragic to the kids who are without her mom for this long a period of time if she is innocent. Right now, I'm going to say it does not look like she's innocent. But we'll leave that for the jury to decide. I could just give my opinion. It does, with everything that's surrounding, but that's what it takes to get someone arrested, right? What they call evidence, what they call, here is probable cause, here's motive. The motive is said to be money. $1.9 million in life insurance policy that she took out on him. And so, there's going to be so much more. My friends, the whole goal of this channel is to keep you updated on what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. To be a voice for victims just like Eric Richins, whose life was alleged to be taken away way too soon. And two wonderful boys no longer have their dad forever. Or three wonderful boys. I'm sorry. I think it is three. Because she's a mom of three. So, and I believe they have all the children together because they met. He was so smitten by her, had to gain the courage to ask her out. and only for this to later her be accused of taking his life. My apologies. I believe it is 3 kids. See, if you don't stay on top of it all the time, all of a sudden you're like, you just lose it a little bit. But the whole goal is Eric Richins deserves a voice, and he deserves justice. My friends, if this is the type of stories you like to follow, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you did like this story, hit that like button. That way, it lets YouTube know there's some value here. Show it to more people, because at the end of the day, it's not about me. Granted, I would love for a lot more people to follow these stories, because at the end of the day, it's about the victims, and the victims deserve a voice. Their life was taken away way too soon. And guess what? No one's going to talk for them unless we talk for them. And they were here, and they deserve to continue to be here. So if we don't talk about them, who will keep talking about them? My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez, and this has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, my friends, be safe, be alert, be aware, be careful. It is a crazy world we live in. Until next time, peace. Have a great day.